Officers Ryan Hardy and Matthew O'Connor chose not to speak as Ian McPherson, the man who shot them in 2016, pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Fellow Manchester police officers there in quiet solidarity to see justice served, including some who were working that night.
Officer Hardy out there protecting the citizens of Manchester, knowing he's probably confronting an armed individual. He gets shot in the face, gets shot in the shoulder. Yet, undaunted and courageously, he puts out information over the radio for other officers to know who he encountered.
The chief speaking with pride about his entire department.
And then when the other officers get there, some treat Officer Hardy and others go on the search for the gunman and find him, knowing that it's going to probably lead to them being shot at the very least. And sure enough, Officer O'Connor was then shot in the leg.
Willard says he spoke briefly with McPherson's parents.
This wasn't their fault. They have a son who did something horrible, and that doesn't make them horrible people.
Telling them that the department's thoughts are with them.
But I think it'll perhaps illuminate to the community that there is a need for more robust mental health services in the state, I think.
Despite the 5 years attached to the sentence, the chief believes that Ian McPherson will be in a psychiatric unit for the rest of his life. In Brentwood, Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.